I'd like to welcome everyone to the Committee of the Whole meeting on Tuesday, January 13th, 2026. Just a reminder that this is a Committee of the Whole meeting and no decisions will be made here today. There will only be recommendations that will go to our next regular council meeting on Tuesday, January 27th, 2026 for consideration. Just a few reminders today. Members of the media may sit in the upper balcony at the reserved media table. All other guests, please take a seat in the first floor gallery. If this is full, there's an overflow seating on the second floor in the Victoria Room. We live stream the meeting on YouTube channel and the recording is available after the meeting. This meeting is also broadcast live on your TV, Cogeco subscribers, Channel 10, HD Channel 700, and rebroadcasted on Wednesday at 9 a.m. and on Saturday at noon. Because the meetings are accessible to the public in all these ways, video and audio recordings made by members of the public are not permitted in council chambers. This is to ensure that all attendees and those who have come to make them feel at ease. Thank you for your cooperation. Okay, and just so folks know, today on Zoom we have Councillor Joyce, Councillor McDonald, Councillor Perry, and Councillor Warren. Hello all. Okay, we'll just proceed to our meeting today. I'll call to order. I'm looking for an adoption of the agenda. Mayor Elmsley, Councillor Ashmore, all those in favor? Thank you. Is there any disclosure of pecuniary interest on today's agenda? Not seeing any. Thank you. We'll move right into deputations. This is just a reminder to both our presenters today for the request of the relocation of the former Omemee train station to the Omemee Beach Park. We have Karen Cooper and Marianne Martin today, and just a reminder, you have 5 minutes. Thank you. Over to you, ladies.
Your Worship, Mayor Elmsley, Deputy Mayor Richardson, esteemed councillors and staff, good morning, or afternoon, pardon me. I am Karen Cooper, Vice President of the Omemee and District Lions Club, and with me is Marianne Martin, a fellow director of the club. We are here to speak to Council today about the historic Omemee train station and our request to have it located in the Omemee Beach Park, where the community can fully appreciate this historical and architectural gem and utilize it in a location that is optimal for everyone. We submitted our written proposal with our deputation request, and we will just reiterate a few pertinent points from it and then take any questions you may have. We need to emphasize first how rare it is to find a heritage building that was an integral part of its community in its day that is still in excellent, pristine condition, exactly as it was when they closed the doors on it in 1970. To bring back this building to its home community for use as a gathering place, a community space, and a center for local history and tourism for the wider area of Kawartha Lakes is the kind of project that both fulfills our Lions Club motto of "We Serve," as well as our personal love for the community we Lions live in and our proud local heritage and lore. In the documents you've been provided with as part of our submission, we chart the history of the station and emphasize the structure's importance to the community. They know it has been quietly out of sight in the playfield of Lady Eaton School all these years, and they care passionately about its fate. Our presentation contains photographs of the present excellent condition of the building and details some of the uses the restored station will be put to by the Lions for the community, and the reasons why the beach park, with its beautiful upcoming renovation plans, is the ideal place for this heritage restored building to be made available to the local community. There, it will blend with the beach park vision and enhance it, adding to the park a restored, architecturally important part of Omemee's past. Inclusion of the station will add the human and historical identity of Omemee to our revitalized park, and it will set it apart from the many other beautiful small-town parks in our city, adding a must-see destination to visit. We've also included a list of some of the many uses the train station can provide to the community. As the southeastern point of entrance into the city of Kawartha Lakes on Highway 7, the station is a natural to support the city in tourism. It could serve as a welcome point with maps, brochures, and info about local attractions. All of these operations of the station will be hosted by and overseen by our Omemee and District Lions Club, which is in its 68th year of serving this community. We are very experienced in planning, promoting, and successfully carrying out seasonal celebration, fundraising activities, and community events on a regular basis. Our record and reputation speaks for itself. From our best current cost figures, it will require $79,516.15 in fundraising by the Lions to move the station, to have a concrete foundation pad poured, to install electrical and possibly water connections, and to purchase restoration supplies for our volunteers. In the past year, we've raised $15,000 alone without any major fundraising being undertaken to date. $2,350 were donated this past December alone. To ensure we make all the right decisions, professional moving, roofing, and woodworking, and dedicated train experts are guiding us every step of the way. Public interest in this project is very high. Our Facebook page, Restore the Omemee Train Station, shows that in the past 60 days, we received, across all posts, 33,480 views. One post of a vintage photo of the train station received 3,538 views and 315 comments, shares, and likes on its own. Lions members are constantly approached with the question, how are things going with the train station? We have absolutely no doubt that our project to return this beloved little landmark to its community will be a resounding success for both Omemee and the City of Kawartha Lakes at large. And Mr. Mayor, that concludes our presentation.
Thank you very much. Just stay at the podium and I'll look to see if there's any questions for you at this time. Do we have any questions from council currently? Councillor Ashmore?
Thank you, through you, Deputy Mayor. Thanks very much, Karen and Marianne, for coming today, and we really appreciate that, and I appreciate the work that you do, and the community appreciates the work that you do, and also the Lions, the Omemean District Lions Club. They're an incredible club. And they not only help people in Omemee, but they actually help the whole surrounding area. And this project here, you guys are doing the heavy lifting here, and it's amazing how this project, this train station, it's really important to the history of Omemee. Not just Omemee, but just about everything in between Lindsay and Peterborough specifically. And I was there at our opening there, Karen, just a unveiling of it when I think it was in August. And you showed me the former foundation. It's still there, so it's pretty amazing. And so I also wanted to thank our heritage manager, Emily Turner. So a few years ago, Emily helped out with the communication with the Trillium Lakeland School Board to get them on board, and finally did. But like I said, most of the heavy lifting's been done by the Lions Club, and we'll bring this to council on the 27th, and hopefully we'll expedite it and we'll be able to get this moved to the location that you prefer, the Lions Club prefers, and we'll get the job done this year for you as quickly as possible. And again, appreciate your time and your presentation. Thanks.
Thank you, Councillor Ashmore. Councillor Joyce, you had your hand up. Do you still have a question?
Deputy Mayor, no, I did, but then I got my answer when I reread the appendix.
Thank you. Councillor McDonald?
Yeah, through you, Deputy Mayor. First of all, I'd like to thank you for the deputation. Very interesting. It sounds exciting. Just a couple questions. I know it's $79,000 to move it, and what I heard was that you're going to fundraise to find that money to move this building. That's my first question.
Karen, you go ahead. I don't turn down a mic very often, so I guess I have to speak. Yes, the Omemee Lions plan on raising the funds to do everything with this train station. The move, the foundation, any repairs, any ongoing maintenance that it takes. So yes, it'll all be funded from through the Lions, nothing from the city.
All right, thank you. Thank you for that.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Any other questions at this time? Well, I have a question if you don't mind. Thank you again for coming today and doing the presentation. And it is a beautiful heritage building that we have in front of us for sure. I'm just wondering, was there any alternative sites that you considered or deemed less suitable when you were looking at the new location?
Yes, thank you for the question. We had a couple of other locations, but they weren't suitable cost-wise. We would have had to purchase the property, which we didn't have the funds to do. So we have looked at other areas, but we want to keep it in Omemee, and this seems to be the most viable place for it, where it would get the most use, the most visibility, and it would certainly help with tourism in Omemee. And if I may say, Deputy Mayor, thank you for coming out to look at it with us. We really appreciate you taking your time to do so.
Yes, and like I said, it is a beautiful building, and when you open those doors, I was quite astounded how well preserved it was inside. Just one more quick question, if you don't mind. What feedback have you received from residents, the park users, any adjacent owners, and how this feedback has shaped this proposal in front of us today? Go ahead.
Well, we just released the information that we were looking at the park because we were able to, now that the agenda for this meeting had been published, and no one has said anything to the negative. Not one person. I think they realize that the fact that you can, if it's in the park, any events we have can spill out into the park, that it's got the beautiful backdrop of Mount Nebo and the water and the play yard, and possibly even one day soon, the splash pad. I mean, it's the right place.
Thank you for answering that. And I think what you're saying is you're anticipating a lot of benefits that this would propose for the community. And again, I don't see any other questions. Thanks very much for coming today. It's really appreciated. Can I have a motion to receive the deputation? Councillor Doble, Councillor Ashmore, all in favor? Thank you. It's passed. Okay, we're going to move into any correspondence. Nothing at this time. Presentations. Our first presentation today is the Osprey Awards presentation. Can I call on Emily Turner, please?
Thank you very much, Deputy Mayor Richardson. I'm really excited today that we'll be presenting our Osprey Heritage Awards. The Osprey Heritage Awards are done through our Municipal Heritage Committee, and I have two people here to provide some background on both the awards themselves and our award winner today. So I'd like to call Deputy Mayor Richardson, who is our council rep on the Municipal Heritage Committee, to speak about the Osprey Heritage Awards and let you know what they're all about.
Thank you, Emily. The Osprey Awards are presented every 2 years by the Kawartha Lakes Municipal Heritage Committee. They honor the individuals, organizations, and projects that make exceptional contributions to preserving and promoting the community's heritage. Let us formally recognize this year's recipient for their outstanding commitment as a local heritage champion and encourage other community members to participate in future nominations. Now over to our chair of the Municipal Heritage Committee, Athol Harwood. I just want to point out that Councillor Yeo is now on Zoom joining in as well. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. It's very important to us as a city to make efforts to preserve our past so that in the future, people can look back and see the direction from which we've come and how that contributes to the way we make decisions in the future. So the Osprey is a very important symbol, and in the native world, the Osprey symbolizes keen vision, focus, and freedom. It represents adapting, seizing opportunities, and gaining clarity through perspectives. And this is what our winners today have done. They had a vision, they seized an opportunity, and they recreated a wonderful building and a wonderful contribution to the city of Kawartha Lakes. This building has a wonderful, wonderful heritage. And it's got a nice name too. the Saucy Willow Inn. So today I'd like to introduce to you Stephanie Jukes and Trevor London. And they're here today to receive this award. Throughout this project, they've done everything possible to restore it to its original look. They've preserved all the exterior, the brick, and all the porches and verandas, and they've also added an addition, the coach house. And they've done that in the style that's appropriate. So, they've used local craftspeople, they've used local materials, and they've used great vision in restoring this building so that it continues to function as a hotel, as a place of visitation from outside the community and from within. So at this moment, I would like to present them with the Osprey Heritage Award for this year, and it's for restoration and adaptive reuse. So Stephanie.
Thank you so much. Oh,
And on behalf of the committee itself, a little note of thank you.
Oh, thank you.
And we really encourage everyone within this community to take a look at the photo up there on the screen and see what kind of a heritage landmark this place has been restored to. So on behalf of the committee and council who have approved the award, congratulations.
Thank you so much.
Do I get to say anything?
Sure.
I'd like to thank very much the committee as well as City Council, but specifically the Economic Development Department. We've worked with several different ones across the province, and we are very lucky enough to call this one our favorite. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. You can take a picture? Okay. Just thank you. And if I can get some a mover to receive and second it, then we're going to take a 5-minute recess just to do a few pictures. Thank you, Councillor McDonald, Councillor Perry. So 5 minutes recess, and then we'll be back. And can I have a vote? All in favor of that? And so passed. Thank you. Everybody. The recess is over. Welcome back. We're going to move into consent matters. That all the proposed recommendations shown in section 8.1 of the agenda be approved by the Committee of the Whole in the order they appear on the agenda, sequentially numbered and forwarded councils for consideration at the next regular council meeting. As of right now, I have two extractions. The first being 8.1.1 by Councillor Warren, Report ED 2026-001, Proposed Heritage Designation of 4 King Street West, Village of Bobcaygeon, Stewart House. Over to you, Councillor Warren.
Thank you. Through you, Deputy Mayor. I have talked to staff. I just have a question for Emily Turner. Just what is the protocol now for letting people know that their building may be designated?
Before we go there, sorry, I do need a motion to save and accept 8.1.1 and 8.1.3.
I'll move that.
Councillor Warren, Councillor Yeo, all in favor? Thank you. And Emily, if you can answer that question, that'd be wonderful. Thank you.
Thanks very much. Through you, Deputy Mayor. So Councillor Warren, our process, our formal process is as the Ontario Heritage Act dictates that we do. So when council passes a notice of intention to designate, we issue that notice to the property owner, and we send them both the formal notice as well as an information package detailing how designation impacts them, how the designation may impact their property, and to reach out to staff with questions so that we can walk them through that process so that they're comfortable prior to the bylaw coming forward to council for adoption. We had discussed previously that from time to time we do discuss designations with property owners prior to them coming forward to council, such as if they're a local business who we work with regularly, or a property owner who is interested specifically in designation. However, this is not part of the formal consultation process. So formally, and as the legislation dictates, we do send out the notice after council has passed a resolution indicating for staff to do so.
Through you, Deputy Mayor. So just to be clear, what do you do informally? I just want to be more specific.
So when we're working with a property owner who the city interacts with, say, for example, a local business or a property owner who's requested designation, for example, we often touch base with them prior to the designation coming forward to council. However, that is not part of the formal notification process, nor is it part of the formal consultation process. That formal consultation process is initiated by council receiving the report and passing a notice of intention to designate. If we do have an informal discussions ahead of time, that would be, say, touching base by phone or email, but our formal notifications are sent by mail as is required by the Ontario Heritage Act.
And through you, Deputy Mayor, and thank you for that. I did just to let people know that sometimes we do we reach out informally to before it goes through this process. So I just wanted people to know that. Maybe not in this specific case, as I believe it's a numbered company, so it's more difficult to do that. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other questions at this time? Councillor Warren, do you want to move as printed?
I'll move it as written.
Thank you. Moved as printed. And seconder for that? Councillor McDonald, all those in favor? And that passes. Thank you. The second extraction is 8.1.23, sorry. The Indigenous Reconciliation Strategy Task Force Terms of Reference. Councillor Perry.
Thanks very much, Deputy Mayor, and good to see everyone. I regret not being there. I have a sick daughter away from school today. Just with regard to this item on the agenda, I want to thank Emily Turner and Christina Briggs for our working together on bringing this forward, especially acknowledging the importance of making sure that Indigenous people are engaged with our reconciliation strategy in very meaningful ways as it moves forward. And I want to thank also and acknowledge the time that has spent bringing forward a task force as an option to do just that. And I've been able to speak with Emily Turner this afternoon. We had a very good discussion about this. And what I'd like to bring forward and just submit is that we certainly do need a way to engage Indigenous people moving forward locally on our reconciliation strategy that has been passed by the city unanimously and made it into the budget, of including our commitment to reconciliation. Just in looking at this and thinking about it, I would humbly submit that a task force isn't the right fit or mechanism to meet that end most effectively and fruitfully. Reconciliation and task force are almost an oxymoron because they really don't go together. Task force being, a very Western procedural, legalistic type instrument that is known and familiar, however, really isn't the lived experience of Indigenous peoples with their, Indigenous ways of knowing and being. It can seem as though it's kind of an imposition in terms of a structure. And so speaking with Emily, we went back and forth on this, and I'd like to propose that we simply hold this back right now until we can look at some other options. Unfortunately, given the RFP process, timing was of the essence. So I hadn't seen this before it was put forward, and it hasn't been consulted with Indigenous communities specifically. So the good news here is that we do have an Indigenous consultant starting by the end of the month to review design and implementation of the Indigenous reconciliation strategy for the city. So my motion today would be that we again, simply hold this back, see what the consultant has to say, because we really want to find the correct tool to make sure that Indigenous peoples are included and participate fully in this process. And to me, that could be done in a number of ways, but I'd really like us to ask, talk, seek others, spend at least a bit of time with the new consultant. Perhaps this will come back as a recommendation, or perhaps there will be another very, innovative opportunity to do not just the consultation, but the engagement together in a different way that includes and honors more Indigenous knowledge, law, traditions, and ways of being. And so I'll just leave it there and put that for your consideration.
Councillor Perry, just for clarification, you're saying hold back. Are you asking it to be deferred? Are you looking at a timeline?
Yeah, sure. I would move that this not go forward today to council, and that that options for engagement be brought forward following consultation, at least with our strategy consultant, who is starting later this month.
Okay, thank you. So an option could be just to receive it, but we have numerous hands up around the screen right now, so I'm going to get those out on the floor. Councillor McDonald.
I was going to second him.
I didn't have my hand up right now.
I did.
All right, Councillor Warren.
I will second that motion. I believe Councillor Perry has eloquently spoken to why we should be reaching out to the Indigenous community first, and especially what he said, a task force and reconciliation don't really go together. So I supported 100% that we need a bit more input in how this is going to be rolled out. Thank you.
Councillor Dole?
Thank you. I guess if I could ask ask staff if has there been any consultation with First Nations in the development of this the proposal at this point?
Through you, Deputy Mayor. So I'll give you a rundown and kind of where we're at in terms of this right now. So the task force is a very small part of this particular project. So how the consultation for this particular project will roll out and what we've touched on with Indigenous communities is it's not just a task force. So we have government-to-government consultation, which is something that we discuss with Indigenous communities. That we have we'll be doing general reaching out to to non-Indigenous, but as well as Indigenous community members through more informal things, public meetings, sharing circles, the kinds of informal things that Councillor Perry, I think, is looking for. Those are part of this project. And then there's the task force as its own separate mechanism. So we have a multi-pronged approach for consultation. The task force itself, because it is a city-specific thing, it is not specific to Indigenous governments. The composition of the task force is intended to be community members who live in Kawartha Lakes. So it does not involve First Nations government. I mean, they know we're doing a reconciliation task force. We'll be reaching out, doing consultation. The task force itself is just one way that we have identified for community members in Kawartha Lakes, as opposed to staff or council, chief and council of First Nations and Métis governments who are in this area to participate. So there's different things that we've talked about with Indigenous communities, and this is very specific to people in our community. So the task force is a way that we will consult with First Nations to allow those voices to come to the table. So that's where the reason it's been brought forward now is so that there is a structure in place to do this multi-pronged kind of consultation. So what we have discussed with Indigenous governments who we interact with is the fact that we are doing a reconciliation strategy and we are bringing forward different methods of consultation throughout the process once our consultant is onboarded.
Thank you for that. So if I understand that, the actual work of the task force will essentially be an ongoing consultation.
Through you, Deputy Mayor, yes, that's correct.
Thank you.
Mayor Elmsley?
Thank you. And through you to Ms. Turner. What are the implications of delaying this in terms of completing the project, the RFP, and anything else that you can think of that is going to impede the progress?
Through you, Deputy Mayor. So the reason that this has been brought forward now is so that we can have the framework for a task force in place essentially at the beginning of the process. So as the consultant is onboarded over the next few weeks, we'll be able to say, and council has approved having a task force. We'll do intending on doing the recruitment through February so that we can have that task force in place right at the beginning of the process. And what that will allow us to do is it will allow us to launch our multi-pronged consultation approach right at the beginning. So the implications of delaying and if we delay, review, and do end up deciding to go with a task force, in the end, it does mean that that task force will not be in place at the beginning of the project. So let's say, we delay till February, make a decision at the February council meeting. Yes, we want to go ahead with doing a task force. We would still have to do recruitment for it. We would still have to have council approve the members. We would still have to onboard them, which means that by the time the task force started, it would be, April, May, at which point the consultant would have done a lot of work already and they wouldn't be launching into the project right at the beginning. So they'd be stepping in a little bit after because we're starting the reconciliation strategy right away. So that is the reason why staff have brought it forward at this juncture. The staff recommendation is to set up the task force right at this particular part of the project.
Thank you. And just follow up on that. When will the consultant be in place?
Through you, Deputy Mayor. We're finalizing the sort of all the background work of the procurement at the moment, and we're aiming to have the consultant in place over the next couple of weeks. So we'll hopefully have this project launched very shortly, so that we can start the work of doing that consultation, bringing the consultant up to speed on where we're currently at in Kawartha Lakes regarding reconciliation, so that consultant can do their work and start reaching out, doing engagement, working with Indigenous communities, and crafting that strategy.
And one final thing. So between now and the council meeting on the 27th, Councillor Perry could meet with you and vet his concerns about this, which could be passed on to the consultant so that there can be some sort of meeting of the minds.
Through you, Deputy Mayor, yes, that's correct, and I'd be happy to meet with Councillor Perry to review this further prior to the meeting on the 27th.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Councillor Yeo, you had your hand up, but it's gone now. Just for clarification.
Yeah, my concerns were just answered in those
Thank
comments.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Joyce?
Yes, so through you, Deputy Mayor, I got two questions. The first to Councillor Perry. Is it just the term task force a problem, or is it the structure as well that's in place? Is it?
Thanks very much, Councillor Joyce. Yeah, it isn't simply the semantics of words, but thank you for asking that question. One of my concerns about, though, with the word task force and the way the structure is put together, there may be difficulty recruiting Indigenous people to a task force.
Yeah.
Because it's so different and seems so, Western colonial as a tool, as a construct. That said, the structures have things like Robert's Rules of Order and voting requirements. And I just think there could be different options that are far more consistent with our commitment to reconciliation. And so the name is something, but it's also the terms of reference that have been brought forward. And I understand that's one of the main ways that municipalities do business. But as I was talking about with Emily this morning, this may be an opportunity not that we don't need so much formality, and that we're able to engage and bring back information and views, because reconciliation isn't a timeline or a checkbox. It's a relationship moving forward.
Yeah, I'm going to just make a suggestion on the public health board. We have the Hiawatha Nation, and they have what's called an advisory circle.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it's called, Public Health Advisory Circle. So the term might be more palatable. How it's structured, I don't know, because I'm not in the circle. But it's a thought to that might be a path forward here.
Thanks for that. Thanks for that, Councillor Joyce. And yes, there are different names, that one could consider, beyond a task force, but in the substance as well. When we look at this, there isn't recognition of inherent Indigenous rights or laws or treaties, or how Indigenous ways of knowledge and being and traditions will be incorporated in the process. And so I would love to see something come forward in that nature and really use this opportunity to break reconciliation ground.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, what we're looking for is engagement and relationship with our existing strategy. How we get there, to me, isn't necessarily through a task force, but there are better tools that could be used, and what's incumbent upon us is to co-develop that. If we have made a commitment, which we have, for reconciliation and to include and engage, the first step shouldn't be to pass task force TORs and tell everybody how they're going to do it our way. The first step is to back up and say, wait a minute, how would you like to be approached? How can we co-develop a procedure that we all have input together? And what should that look like? And that's why I'm asking for this brief extra period of time to get this off on the right foot, and use that, because We have a commitment to reconciliation. We've spent money on the strategy development. How do we get this really started on the equitable and reconciliation foot, which is how would you like to contact us? Take a few weeks with the consultant to be able to see especially what she says, or if there are other options, rather than having council today move forward even to council next meeting and say, yeah, we're behind a task force in principle.
Yeah, I was actually going to suggest that maybe we just start with, I'll use advisory circle for now, and just literally start with that. And the advisory circle then decides on the terms of reference or whatever you want to call that as the first step. The first step is the structure itself that
Right.
the advisory circle works on, instead of, like you say, creating it in advance.
Right.
So
You know, a lot of governance on these things from Indigenous cultures and perspectives include smudging or opening prayers, feast sharing, consensus-based decision-making, not majority vote. You know, how do we build in time to build relationships and storytelling, not just the bullets of business, you know, meeting at different locations determined by the parties. Those kinds of things can be built in rather than using the traditional kind of Western task force tool when there could be other ways of doing it that are more appropriate and consistent with reconciliation with our Indigenous sisters, brothers, and siblings.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. My second question is completely gone now, given the context of what we just talked about. It's not necessary now.
That's okay. We got some more questions here on the floor. Councillor Ashmore.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Through you too, Ms. Turner. As far as consultants, I know back in 2019, the project that council fully endorsed and we had support for it, and we had it could be used perhaps as a framework maybe, or I could send you the PDF or the report. It was to do with the wild rice in Pigeon Lake. This was the topic. So it developed into, it was a really good learning curve because we did actually sort of start the reconciliation process even back then. And I know we had a lot of people involved. There was Trent Severn Waterway, Truth and Reconciliation, Bob Cajun, who signed on to that. And Trent University, Curve Lake First Nation, Selwyn, of course, City Kawartha Lakes. We had a company called Drolet Consulting in Ottawa. They were the consultant, but the federal government paid for it. Would we maybe be looking at something like that to sort of, it was a very interesting document. It was done in 2019 and it was to be implemented, and then of course COVID came and things shut down for a couple of years, so we couldn't go ahead with the recommendations that they had in this report, but it was a really good starting point. But anyways, I just thought I could throw that out there and say you could certainly might be able to use that, because there's a lot of information in that report I could send you. Thanks.
Through you, Deputy Mayor, yes, when the consultant starts, they will be doing all that kind of background review, so those documents will be brought into the strategy as well. And some of the consultation that was done through that process will also be done working with the First Nations, with the Truth and Reconciliation Group and Bob Cajun, Trent Severn. And so this task force is that staff are proposing is a very small aspect of the consultation that we're doing. It's not all of the consultation, it's one prong of a much wider consultation, review, and outreach process.
Thank you.
Thank you. And I do see Councillor Yeo, you have a question now?
Yeah, after hearing Councillor Perry talk again, different aspect came up. Thank you. And through you, Deputy Mayor, Chair. So I don't think I'm being flippant, please. But this is a city-run group that's looking at consultation stuff, and we have policy that dictates how these things run. We do not have a policy on sharing circles or anything like that. So I don't know where you're coming from, trying to tell us how to run a city program. And as Ms. Turner said, it's a very small part of the entire thing. So this is the city's input. And so the reconciliation project and the sharing circle can definitely be something as another stream, but I don't know where policy-wise, we have the ability as council to call it anything otherwise. Maybe a working group or something, but policy-wise, how do we do this? How do we do this in your mind? Or maybe the CAO can help me. I'm the old guy that, we're following policy. It's called a task force. It's always been called a task force. So what do we call it if it's not a task force? Thank you.
Thank you. And who wants to take that?
I
Mayor
have some
Elmsley?
input.
When this came up, I asked the deputy clerk what other municipalities were doing, and the city of Ottawa, city of Toronto, and 3 or 4 others refer to theirs as a committee, not as a task force.
Councillor Yeo, does that answer your question or something further?
That does answer what it's called, but it leads into another question. How does a committee of the city of Kawartha Lakes not follow the Roberts rules? How do we run a meeting if we don't do it by policy?
If I could, Madam Chair.
I think we have the CAO that's going to pipe in on that
Okay, yeah,
answer.
sure.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chair, and through you. So regardless of maybe the name, task force or committee or otherwise, we do have structures that we are obligated to develop for these types of consultations or just interactions with committees, et cetera. So we normally have leaned on things like Robert's rules. They are an extension of council. And so are the committees. And that's really why the structures mirror how you operate as a city council almost entirely. There is the ability, council has the ability to create variations to the structure through a terms of reference. So that is certainly fair game. I wouldn't want to suggest we're very rigid sort of in the structures only. So if there were other ways to facilitate conversation, that could be built into ultimately a terms of reference. So there's some flexibility to work through it. At this point, sort of seeing you have one option for structure put forward today. The suggestion that maybe we work with the onboarded consultant and staff to massage what a particular, I'll just call it a committee generally, could look like and what is the intended work. We could certainly take that away, work on that, and do it as a follow-up with council. I don't think you necessarily need to decide today if you want a task force that's written or some variation to it. If there is some hesitation at this point, then I would just recommend today simply receive the report, refer it to council, and then whether it's at that council meeting, if we're ready, or a follow-up, we would bring back potentially some alternative recommendations or the ability to restructure it slightly based on the comments today.
Thank you for that. Councillor Warren, I see your hand up for the second time.
I just want to reiterate that I truly believe you need Indigenous input into all of this. And my question would maybe be to Emily from the mayor's point that Ottawa, Toronto, and others have had this sort of committee. And so I'd like to know how theirs were structured going forward. And do we have that information, or will we have that information? Thank you.
Through you, Deputy Mayor. Thanks very much, Councillor Warren. So in terms of the Indigenous consultation on the task force, the intention of having the task force is to facilitate a vehicle for Indigenous consultation alongside the other things that we are doing. So when the task force is created, looking at when the members are there, looking at how they interact with the consultant, how their meetings are structured. Obviously, we follow Robert's Rules of Orders and different rules around that, but there is some, there's ways that we can do it to make it more friendly to how the Indigenous members of that task force, should it be created, or committee, whatever you want to call it, would want to do that on a practical basis when they're sitting in the room. Looking at other municipalities, there are a lot of other municipalities who have done this, and there's a few different ways that it has been done. One is alongside the creation of strategies such as this, and the other is doing it after a strategy has been created. And so some of those places, Toronto, Ottawa, for example, their strategies are in place, and they have created a committee after the fact as an sort of an output of the strategy. Other communities, I think Lethbridge, for example, in Alberta is a great example where they have, they were putting their reconciliation strategy or plan together, where they had a steering committee that included Indigenous community members who were providing more detailed input into the development of the strategy, and that's the model that we've looked to, similar to that where we have that particular one. So different municipalities have structured in different ways depending on where they are in their reconciliation journey. And the reason that we put this forward earlier on is to provide one more way for Indigenous community members to get involved, one more way for people who may be really interested in participating and having more detailed input. So there's this extra avenue alongside the sharing circles, alongside the public meetings, alongside the jump-in survey, all the normal things that we would do for community consultation, to have this extra facet where particularly engaged Indigenous community members can make recommendations to council, make recommendations to staff and the consultant, and be more intimately involved in how that strategy rolls out.
And that just further, that's great. I like the Lethbridge idea of maybe not even calling a steering committee, but it seems like they reached out first to the Indigenous community to see how it would be set up. I think we've got a little bit of time here to be able to look at this and get Indigenous input to how best to proceed so reconciliation can really be done in Kawartha Lakes.
Thank you. And I see Councillor McDonald has a question now.
Yeah, thank you through you, Deputy Mayor. Yeah, I did talk to Councillor Perry earlier, and I think we're getting wrapped up with nobody's even been talking to the Indigenous now. They might be okay with the task force. We don't know. They might be okay with the task force and the name. So we're running all these things. We have a structured procedure. We have Robert rules. So why don't we just go forward? Because if we haven't talked to anybody, why are we trying to make decisions on what they might like or what they might not like? We're trying to speak for them right now, and nobody spoke to them. So why don't we talk to them first? And they might like the name, the task force. So we're talking about a lot of things here, and all it is ideas, and we haven't even talked to them yet. So, the suggestion they have is to have some structure right now. Start with the structure. We got a new person coming in, and talk to them, and then we can make a common sense, decision on what they would like, because they haven't been talked to yet. So that's just my point of view on that one.
Thank you. And I everyone has had an opportunity to weigh in on the matter today, and is very clear to all of us is that this council is very committed to reconciliation. I just want to clarify, I'll give Councillor Perry the opportunity to wrap up, but are you looking to just receive it because we don't need to resolve today and push it to the next council meeting, or I'm actually looking for clarification on the motion that you are putting forward?
Sure. Thank you, Deputy Mayor Richardson. And building on what Councillor McDonald had just said, that's the issue, that the task force idea as a tool has been put forward for our consideration without consultation with our Indigenous partners and governments and sisters and brothers and siblings. We're saying, hey, here's what we want to do. The first rule of respect for any of us is that people ask us how we would like to join. how we would like to input. So without going too much into it, I understand that this may be the beginning of consultation, but we need to talk to folks first before we, say, oh, by the way, and here's the model. And so, yes, Deputy Mayor, my motion is that that this not move forward today, but simply be brought up with the new consultant this month and others on we know how we from the municipality are proposing to move forward. That's second nature. But ask them, is it a task force we should do? How can we work best together? Like Councillor McDonald said, we don't know because it hasn't been consulted yet, whether this tool is appropriate and acceptable or not. So rather than put it out there in the window and start to endorse it and move forward with it, as the CAO said, there's flexibility here. I think we come back after staff brings this back, after talking with the new consultant, and that's when we look at all the options, not privilege a task force by putting it in the window and resolving to receive it today, and then have a clock tick down to the next council, because again, I don't see this as delay. This is the time it takes to get reconciliation right. This is very important. As Deputy Mayor, you just said, everyone around the table agrees. So we need to take the time to make sure that we step off on the right foot and ask people how they want to be consulted before devising a tool and putting it out there as our position.
Thank you. And so are you fine with receiving it today and then it coming back? Because it's not a recommendation today because it is committee of the whole. Receiving it today, and there's been great discussion today, obviously, food for thought to staff. I'm sure you'll extract it at the next council meeting, and we can go from there on direction. Because to me, there still needs to be some clarification in the resolution here.
Right. Sure, I'll clarify it more. I understand where you're coming from, Deputy Mayor, and for me, no, respectfully, that's not sufficient. It privileges this model, it puts it out there, and that would pain me to have us take a task force model that wasn't consulted this far. I think what we need to do is admit that, wait a minute, how we consult and how we engage should have been consulted before an single option was put forward in the window, and go back and do that step. We have time, and we have a commitment to reconciliation in good faith. We also have a duty to get this, as I said, right by everyone concerned. Thank you.
Thank you, but I still need your motion for clarification.
Okay, my motion is that...
Point of order. We don't make motions at committee of the whole. It's either a motion to receive or it's a motion to defer, which has no
no debate.
Argument about it.
Recommendation.
If I'm wrong, I'll shut up, but we're getting carried away here.
Recommend.
Okay, so you either receive it or you defer it.
Right. I move that it be deferred.
Till when?
I'll second that.
Councillor Yeo will second it. Till when, Councillor Perry?
If I could ask Ms. Turner when she feels that the new consultant would have a reasonable time to look at this model or consider a few other options that we might not know about.
Through you, Deputy Mayor, I think looking at what's happening in the project over the next couple of months, it should probably be deferred to a council meeting by the end of Q1, which would allow whatever option council decides to pursue to be initiated at the beginning of the strategy development process.
Sounds good to me.
The actual meeting. March council meeting.
Okay, just for clarification, it will be the council meeting in March, correct?
Yes, that's fine.
Okay, so we have a first, Councillor Perry, second, Councillor Yeo. All in favor? That passes. Thank you. At this time...
Parse, everyone. Big wedge.
Thank you. At this time, new or other business, we don't have any. The only business left is adjournment. So can I have a first and second on that? Councillor Doble, Councillor Joyce, all in favor? And that's it. Thank you very much.